You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Please respectfully take your seats. The chairman for the occasion, Dr. Jansen, our chief of staff, Honorable Julius Debrah, Professor Hinson, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
I want to thank the organizers, especially our Honorable Julius Debrah and the co-author for this kind invitation to be with all of you here today. Even as our government has asked Ghanaians to entrust us with a mandate to reset our country and its institutions, we recognize that a reset is not achieved through slogans alone. A reset may be initially defined by inspiration, but one of our first duties was to understand that daily implementation is what makes it all the difference to policy and outcomes. This book argues that the repeated experiences of citizens and institutions become the true face of Ghana's public service. Ladies and gentlemen, the authors didn't simply tell us that our public and civil service must improve. Beyond a diagnosis, they provide options for reform. The book directs us to design strategy around citizens, restructure their journey, invest in frontline officers, and measure successes by the experiences of people. This last point may be the book's most important. The image that citizens have built of those institutions. As long as the government focuses primarily on the first, while our citizens judge us by the second, an important gap will remain between us, regardless of how many reform programs we launch or service charters we publish. Again, ladies and gentlemen, imagine a performance review of a public institution. Budgets are examined, attendance is discussed, projects are completed on schedule, and we celebrate. The meeting lasts about 90 minutes, assuming, of course, that it starts on time. Yet, many may not take the time to ask, what was the experience of people of this project? I've attended many meetings like you, like many of us. But ladies and gentlemen, real reform is difficult because it unsettles unfamiliar patterns and forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. However, instead of making reform undesirable or discouraging, it should remind us that meaningful change demands hard work. I congratulate the authors, Julius Debrah and Professor Hinson, on your collaboration. It is not often that practical experience at the highest levels of government is brought into close conversation with academic research. The result is a work that is intellectually grounded and focused on the realities of implementation, and that speaks to scholars of public administration and to those entrusted with the daily work of governing. Permit me now to briefly address our leaders of public and civil service who are here today, and maybe those who are listening too. This book ends with a challenge. Let us reinforce that with a few practical expectations. By viewing your institutions through the eyes of the citizen, the framework outlined in this book provides an excellent starting point. I invite you to identify where your services are accessible, where they are clear, where they are fair, and just as importantly, where they are not. Honest self-assessment is the first step towards true reform. Next, let us focus on the services, those that citizens use most. Whether someone is applying for a license, for a passport, registering a business, the question should be among the following. Have we designed the process for the convenience of the institution or for the convenience of the user? Every unnecessary delay, every avoidable queue and confusing procedure comes at a cost in time, in dignity, in income, and more importantly, if not most importantly, in public trust. I want to stress the importance of our frontline public servants too. For many people, the face encountered at a service counter or the voice at the end of a telephone line is government. Let us ensure that those workers are properly recruited, trained, equipped, supported, because they shape confidence in our institutions. Finally, let us ensure that our pursuit of efficiency never comes at the expense of equity. The true measure of citizen-centered service is fairness, respect. Distinguished guests, books are launched often, and rightly so. But the true measure of a book like this is whether its ideas find their way into the daily work of government. Tomorrow morning, or in the course of the day, somewhere in Ghana, a citizen will walk into a public office. That encounter may be one of many real tests of the principles in the book we are going to study today and going forward. And I believe we'll all study them. We don't plan to do that. I commend this book to those who care about the quality of public service in our beloved Ghana. It does not claim to have all the answers or that the work ahead is uncomplicated, but it asks difficult questions and offers practical ideas that deserve serious consideration. Again, I want to congratulate our Chief of Staff, the Honorable Julius Debrah, and Professor, I understand you are Robert, Professor Henson, on this timely contribution to the discussion of public sector reform. Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to formally launch Citizen Experience, a reset for superior public and civil service delivery. I want to thank you all for your kind attention. Consider the book very well.
Welcome to the Debrah, Chief of Staff. The public launched today on the 8th of July, 2026, to the glory of God. seats. But before that, I just want to alert you to the presence of a form like this. It's called a purchase card. And when you decide to purchase the book, you fill in your details in duplicate. So your name, amount, half of the document is perforated with your books that you have bought. So I hope that's clear. Everybody has a copy of that. It came with your program. So now we begin with something. Personally autographed copies of this book by Professor Hinton and Honorable Debrah. We'll go to the highest bidders. These are collected. You say, I was here. I was there, as we used to say in secondary school. So we're going to start the bidding at 100,000 Ghana cedis for the first 10 autographed copies. So the first, yeah? So, and I know we're like the Black Stars. We normally don't score early. We take our time and make the whole of the country sweat in the 95th minute. The man scores and we are excited. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.